Derrick Rose to the Knicks means absolutely nothing to anybody except for Knicks fans. If this was not Derrick Rose, a former MVP, to the New York Knicks in the biggest media market in the country, I wouldn't even be doing a live about this. As it stands, I am doing a live because it's the Knicks, and yes, it's Derrick Rose. So I think it at least deserves some sort of comment. Look, this doesn't matter. I mean, look, if the Knicks get the 8th seed, that's a huge accomplishment. I doubt that they will. The winners here are Knicks fans who want to see them go back to the playoffs. That's good. And the losers here are Emmanuel Quickly, who, to me, this puts another roadblock to him getting to the starting lineup. Elfrid Payton has not played well. Obviously, Emmanuel Quickly has played well. Tom Thibodeau refuses to put Quickly in the starting lineup, but I thought it's only a matter of time because of how well Quickly has played and how poorly and exposed Elfrid Payton has been at times. But, this is another roadblock. Is Quickly going to start and Derrick Rose come off the bench? Maybe, and that would be really good. But especially if Elfrid Payton remains on this roster. We know that Dennis Smith Jr. is going the other way to the Pistons. What if Elfrid Payton and Derrick Rose are both on this roster? So, yes, Emmanuel Quickly is a loser. Another loser is the LA Clippers. I was about to put out tomorrow the top 5 point guard targets for the Clippers, and Derrick Rose was the number 1 target. He is not a score-first point guard. He is well-rounded. I know he's not a great shooter, but the Clippers don't need shooters. They need someone who is a really, really good playmaker, someone who can initiate their offense. And Derrick Rose does it all. High IQ, great passer, good vision, speed with the ball. He's got a good handle, all that stuff. So to me, he was the best. And he was very gettable. I thought that the Clippers could make a trade for Derrick Rose. And so, he goes instead of to a contender that needs a point guard like the Clippers, Derrick Rose goes to the New York Knicks, who are irrelevant. Good for them that they have Tom Thibodeau. I'm happy that they're going to go for the playoffs. To me, this is a signal from the Knicks, the front office, Tibbs, whatever, ownership, that, yeah, they are going to go for the playoffs. They don't want to tank to get a high draft pick in this really stacked and loaded draft coming up. And they shouldn't do that. They should not tank to lose. I know a lot of Knicks fans want their team to tank and lose to try to get a high draft pick because they know that the draft is stacked. But how many years have we seen the Knicks just be so bad, and have bad lottery luck? And the way that the NBA has structured the draft lottery really disincentivizes tanking. So I think that the Knicks are doing a good thing by trying to win now because, you've lost for so long and you've been so bad. You've had the worst record in the league and not gotten the number 1 overall pick. And so, you know what? Forget it. We're going to stop playing that game. We're going to try to win now. And I think that the key for the Knicks being good anyway is swinging a really big trade for a disgruntled star, trading a lot of picks like we've seen, across the Brooklyn Bridge there, due for James Harden. So, or maybe in free agency. So look, I'm not someone who's going to say this is bad. This is the Knicks going for the playoffs. They shouldn't go for the playoffs. They should tank. I don't think the Knicks should tank. They've been bad. The draft is a crapshoot, right? So it's good. It's going to be fun to see them make the playoffs and be the 8th seed and play the Sixers or the Bucks or whatever. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And so, Dennis Smith Jr. is now a Detroit Piston. It's fine. I mean, look, Derrick Rose is on an expiring contract. And so, what the Pistons need, when you look at the Pistons roster and you go, okay, what do they want in a trade? What do they need? The answer is everything. They need talent all across the board. And Dennis Smith Jr. was playing in the G League. So he's going to go to a glorified G League team, which is the Pistons. I'm sorry, Pistons fans, but that's exactly what you are. A glorified G League team. And Dennis Smith Jr. is actually going to get minutes, hopefully for him and for them to see if, they're taking a flyer on the potential of what Dennis Smith Jr. can offer. So, what did the Knicks want? what did the Pistons want from this Derrick Rose trade? They probably wanted a first-round pick because, they do need everything. And we've seen, like last year, this team not afraid to pick in the late 20s, the mid-20s, and put those players on the court. But they end up getting Dennis Smith Jr. and draft compensation. I'm not sure what that's going to end up being. But to me, the losers in this trade are Emmanuel Quickley, who gets another veteran in that point guard rotation. And the loser is the LA Clippers, who are a contender desperately in need of a point guard. And the winner is, your average Knicks fan who wants to see your team make the playoffs. I think that this does put the Knicks one step closer to a playoff berth. An 8th seed, it would be fun if they were in a play-in tournament. That would be fun. The one and done nature of that play-in tournament, the sudden death, that'll be fun to see the Knicks in that position. All right, so those are basically my thoughts. It's an irrelevant trade. All right, let's get to some questions. We have members. Member questions. Braden Atnip. Quickly can learn a lot from D-Rose. I agree. But I would have liked to see Quickly a lock for the starting lineup, but who knows? Maybe he'll get there. Tibbs loves his 2011 Bulls players, and they love him, by the way, Justin Huang. There was like a rumor at one point that players hated Tibbs because of how much he plays them, but when the Knicks hired Tom Thibodeau, I did kind of a deep dive on that, if you watch that video, and it's the opposite. His players love him. Any other members who have been Hayden as an arrow. Sorry, man. Hayden says, crazy. Rose being reunited with the Knicks. It is crazy, and to me, it's disappointing, Hayden, to be honest. I wanted to see him go to a contender. Quickly could go to the 2-guard, Justin says. Are the Knicks a contender? No, they're not, Justin. They're irrelevant. Anything else? We have dip. That's about it. So no super chats to get to, and that's cool. Oh, Mr. Stern says, who should the Clippers trade for then? Well, I don't know how to pronounce your first name. Idan. Anyway, Mr. Stern, here's the thing, man. If I tell you who the Clippers should trade for, that will ruin tomorrow's video. But I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway because, look, there's only 600-something people on here. So, look, guys, I'm going to tell you who I think the Clippers should trade for at point guard. Please watch tomorrow's video anyway, okay? Who I think they should try to trade for is Terry Rozier, George Hill, Ricky Rubio, or Lonzo Ball. Those are my 4. I would like to know, is there anyone else, a point guard out there that you think they should trade for? Again, I'll say this again. Lonzo Ball, Ricky Rubio, George Hill, or Terry Rozier. And the reason those 4 are my targets for the Clippers to trade for a point guard. Derrick Rose was on that list. He's no longer on that list. The reason those are the 4 people is you need to find someone who's an upgrade over Patrick Beverley and Reggie Jackson, right? So when you're thinking of guys they could trade for, remember, they have to be an upgrade over Reggie Jackson and Patrick Beverley. And Reggie Jackson and Patrick Beverley have good parts about their game, but what the Clippers really need is someone who's an expert at initiating the offense, okay? And so that's why George Hill would be good. Look, is George Hill better than Patrick Beverley? I mean, probably not, all things being equal, but the fact is that George Hill is a better traditional point guard. He can initiate that offense. Jackie Huang says, what assets do the Clippers have to trade? Well, that's interesting, Jackie. So we're way off topic. I'm just going to end up burning all the information for tomorrow's video. This is crap. I'm going to do it anyway. Eric Bledsoe. Miriam T. Eric Bledsoe. I think that's a good one. We're going to add that guy to the list. Aaron Holiday. That's a good one too. Kyle Lowry makes way too much money, Jordan. Jalen Brunson. Jared, here's the problem with Jalen Brunson, buddy. I think that the Mavericks wouldn't trade him, right? LeVar Ball. That's it. Trade for Curry. Ha, 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 ha. Devontae Graham. See, I would rather have Terry Rozier because I think he's a better playmaker. Jordan Clarkson, man, he's just a scorer. That's not what they need. Rondo. It's not going to happen. Ish Smith. No. Okay, guys. I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm going to go. And this is going to ruin the video for tomorrow. DeLon Wright, Evan Fournier. That's a good one. Michael Jordan. Perfect. Okay, here we go. Thoughts on the Mavs game. Alex Caruso. Honestly, Eric Bledsoe is the best suggestion that I've seen so far. Okay, here, and guys, because people are streaming in here, look, we've gotten way past the Derrick Rose conversation. Please watch this later. We're now on to the fact that since the Derrick Rose trade is irrelevant, who is the loser in this trade? The Clippers, because they could have traded for Derrick Rose and had that playmaking point guard to initiate their offense. That sucks. So tomorrow's video is going to be about the guys that the Clippers should trade for at the point guard position instead of Derrick Rose. And what they had to trade with is Lou Williams, Ivica Zubac, and a bunch of second-round picks. But the problem with that is a lot of these players that have these point guards that I'm talking about, like, for example, the Pelicans with Lonzo Ball or Ricky Rubio with the Timberwolves, they don't want Ivica Zubac. Like, what would the Timberwolves do with Ivica Zubac? A center who can't shoot. That's not what they want, right? And what would they want with Lou Williams, a guy who is a shooter and is on the last year of his contract, who's like 34 years old? They don't want him. So it needs to be a 3-team trade. So let's say, for example, a team wanted a first-round pick from the Clippers for their point guard. Well, the Clippers don't have a first-round pick. You know who has a first-round pick? The Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors need what? They need a center. They need a big man. What better than 23-year-old Ivica Zubac? I know he can't shoot, but the fact is that he is surrounded by other big men who can shoot. Chris Boucher can shoot, on and on. For example, the Toronto Raptors lost, Marcus Gasol. They lost Serge Ibaka. Aaron Baines isn't cutting it. What if they wanted Ivica Zubac and they traded a low protected first-round pick to a team for their point guard? And so you could do a 3-team trade where the Clippers get a first-round pick for Zubac, flip that in a package for one of these point guards we're talking about. So anyway, that's it. Zubac to the Lakers. All right, people are messing around now. Malcolm Brogdon. See, people are messing with me now. This is so off topic. I know it's off topic, but it's kind of on topic. Bol can play point guard. Trade for Tom Brady. Oladipo. Now you're on to something, Greek Freak. But here's my question. Who is Oladipo good enough playmaker is my first question. My set, Goran Dragic, they're a contender. That wouldn't work. Okay, guys, later. Watch the video tomorrow, please, even though I blew a lot of what's going to be in the video. Adios.